Hello and welcome to Embracing the Fight. I am Erica Lamar, your digital creator and host. And if you've been with me since January of 2023, you'll know that we are 2 years in. 2 years in. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting Embracing the Fight. I hope that all the messages, all of the reels, the shorts, everything on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, everything all social media. I hope that what you've seen from this platform has been uplifting and has been helpful to you because it truly has been helpful, to me. And I know that sounds kind of weird, I guess, but sometimes you just need to give certain things in your life words because words have life and they help to improve the situation if you are speaking the correct words. Now, before we get into episode 101, which is vulnerability, are you a subscriber? If you aren't, take a moment, just click subscribe, click like, and click share. It's free. Why not do it? I mean, who can't stand more positivity in the world? And that's what this is all about. Embracing the Fight is about normalizing the conversation surrounding physical and mental health issues and concerns. And I start the conversation off talking about my journey through thyroid cancer. Now, sure, people deal with things every day and they don't give those things a sound. They don't say anything. But you know what that does? That causes a person to suffer in silence. And when you suffer in silence, that can sometimes make the illness worse, even if it's, just mentally, it starts to stress you out because you don't have a way, to talk about it or any type of sounding board where somebody can come back to you and say, hey, I've been through it. I'm on the other side of it. So I am definitely looking for guests. I would love to have you come on and share your testimony so you can help someone who's at the beginning of what you've already walked through. And see, right now, I am claiming 100% healing. I am claiming that in February, when I go back for my checkup, that they're going to tell me that I am cancer free. That is my reality. That is my belief. That is my thought. And that is what I am standing on. And I hope that you're standing with me. And if you're not, start standing with me because I would love to have you cheer with me when I know I won't be ringing, a real bell. I'll just be ringing that little proverbial bell so that you all know that it's over, it's done, it is finished. All right. So now let's jump back into episode 101, vulnerability. So, the reason that I thought it would be important to talk about this is because when it comes down to being vulnerable, that's one of the hardest things, that a person can do. Um, you think about it, when people look at you, they already have, an assumption of, who you are, what you do, and kind of like what you make. Because the funny thing, my nieces and nephews, when they were like little, they would say things like, oh, my auntie is rich, and it's like, well, baby, I got bills, I got lots of bills. I mean, I had the money to cover the bills, but in my mind to myself, I wasn't saying that I was rich. But these are little children, and they think rich is something totally different, from adults. They imagine rich being, oh, we can go in the store and Auntie Erica buys us, nice things, and then we can go eat whatever we want, all the candy, all the snacks, and then she brings stuff home to everybody for Christmas and all these different things. But the reality of it all is that I wasn't rich and I didn't have, that rich mindset. Of course, I wanted to be rich. I want to be wealthy. I want to, be able to become this amazing philanthropist that just comes in a clutch and helps to change lives. That's the desire. But my mindset didn't match that. What do you mean? So I'll just be vulnerable during this episode so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. For instance, I own a home, I own a car, I have lots of things inside of my home. And if I need money, my first thought is to not sell anything that I have. Now, I was talking with someone today that was like, do you realize that you're literally sitting on a gold mine? So if you hate, what you do, where you are, and all that, sell it. Because that little gold mine can be what helps you to start, your business. And then I've also been a part of the See You at the Bank challenge. And they've been telling us or giving us some amazing insight on how to get funding, for your business. And it's nothing that's earth shattering. It's just something I just didn't know. You don't know, what you don't know. And I was still sitting there thinking, I need to follow all the tips and steps that were given to me during this class and during this accountability call. But then a little person in my ear is still saying, you sitting on a gold mine, you sitting on a gold mine. And not only are you sitting on a gold mine, you have the opportunity to start over because it's not like you got, little kids or anybody depending on you but you. And then your family, you have an amazing support system. So if you wanted to, you could go, and live with your parents if you like. And they know how much I would love to do that. I mean, think about it. People laugh when on the dating scene, I guess, when guys say, oh, I still live at home with my mom. And it's like, why are you laughing at this man? You don't know what it is that he is trying to build now. Sure, you got those ones that live at home and don't plan to do anything else. But I'm saying you have to give the person, the benefit of the doubt because the stigma behind someone, 30 and older staying at home is that this person has nothing, they're lazy, they have no ambition, when that is far from the truth. Think about it. I've been working for the better part of my life. Basically, what, 31 years I've been working for someone else. Yes, I've had 401ks. Yes, I've saved. Yes, I've done all these different things, but I've had cancer twice. I've had knee surgeries. If you watch Embracing the Fight, you know that I've had a lot of different things dealing with my health that have been, some pretty serious issues. And that cost a lot of money. So as you see the money going down, and it's not like I had a bunch of side gigs and side things that were making me all this money. All I had was dreams. So this person that's telling me, hey, you sitting on a gold mine, knows that I have these dreams because I've expressed these dreams to them. I've been, vulnerable with this person about, you know, what it is I really want. And now it just feels like all of these things are actually coming together because not only am I becoming consigned to the fact that I really need to push, selling this home, but I know y'all are gonna think this is funny, but because I think it's funny. It's wintertime. It's great down here. If I go anywhere, north of Florida, it's freezing. I don't want to go outside. I love it here because the weather is great, but I know obedience is better than sacrifice, right? So I just need to be obedient and sell his home and sacrifice this beautiful warm weather down here to go and freeze, just for a few months, not for long, it does stay long, stay cold long, in Georgia. But let me go back to what I was truly saying. So when it comes to being vulnerable, are you one of those people that can look at yourself and really tell, what the issue is? What is it that was keeping you stagnant or holding you where you are or where you were? So I had that moment today because I was being asked questions about, you know, what if you were, what could you do, or what would you do to become, the first millionaire in your family? How, kind of would you do it? And I've been thinking about it the wrong way. I was thinking, okay, got to get debt free first. You don't have to be debt free. You can build if you have the right, type of debt. And looking at my little portfolio, I have the wrong kind of debt and the right kind. So I gotta, I guess it's if you want to call it a decent mix, that's what it is. And then He was basically saying, what do you need, to get you to that point? And I was thinking, oh, I need about, $300,000 and I'd be straight. But I think what he was asking, even though I didn't ask what he was asking because I was thinking and overthinking, at that moment, when I was thinking and overthinking, I said, that's it. That's what's wrong. Everybody else around me constantly tells me, oh, you should be, the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. You should own your own company. You should have one of the largest nonprofits, in the world. All these people, see all of this, but all I could see was, why can't I do this? Why is this such a struggle, mentally for me? Follow me for a second. Tangibly, I see a really nice house. I see the really nice car that I have. And then I see what it is I really want. But in the process, I'm going to have to let go of what I have to get to where I want. And at first, I was like, well, I could, there ain't no problem because what's the point, of holding on to something that's keeping you where you are? So I was like, okay, I can let that go. And then the person dropped something else in my ear, was like, it's because you're comfortable. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not comfortable? This is not what comfortability looks like, not for me. I was like, this at this point in my life, I feel like, my back is against the wall. He's like, no way, your back is not against the wall. He was like, your back against the wall would mean you got children to feed, you don't have anywhere to live. There is a tow truck bagging up to your house, dragging your car away. You are not up against the wall. You are comfortable. So I'm sitting here going, why do you have to be at a very, cusp of negativity in order to feel like your back is against the wall? And I was trying to get him to understand that, I don't have to be that far to feel like my back is against the wall. So something you may not know about me is back in January of 2018, a company that I worked for 10 years came in and says, hey, they had done this thing where they wanted to reduce, head count. And they were like, we're not going to do it again. And they had just done it maybe 6 months or so before. But they had decided that the group that I was in, because we were strictly, overhead, because all we did was go from place to place to help people, improve their processes. And I was actually at a site that they were thinking about closing. And I went in and I helped them to find something in their process that gleaned them like $10 million. So they got to keep their doors open. They're still open to this day. They're still making material. They have a partnership with another company that's taking the material they were throwing away. And it's all because of the knowledge that I dropped, into those people. And I'm not going to say I dropped it into them. They told me where their pain was. And I told them where they could take that pain and turn it into, not necessarily um, pleasure, but I said you could turn that pain into a product. And from that point, they were able to thrive. The company I worked for, they knew that. They knew that I had spent 6 months working with this team of people. They knew, everything that came from it, but it didn't matter when the overall goal was to reduce headcount. And when you have a team that does nothing but travel, that does nothing but work on like improvements and things, they start to think, well, you know what, this was a pilot program. It worked well. You taught the people well. You basically worked yourself out of a job. So good luck. Now, from that point, I realized that was something that I really enjoyed doing. I love to go into places that felt like, they were failing, like there's no way out of this. And I go in there and say, well, what about this? What about this? Did you think of this? Or why do you do it this way when you could do it this way? Or who wrote this procedure and what was the main thought or the main idea? What were you supposed to get from following this particular procedure? And you have all these different documents that you make your employees keep. When do you review them? What's their purpose? It's like, why are you doing what you're doing? And once I saw that was something that I enjoyed doing, what do you think I did? I went and found another job because of the security of the job that I thought I would have, right? Because you get good insurance and you get steady paycheck, right? So you know the enemy of good is great, right? I was all right with good. But now, in this season of my life, I want great. So my mindset has to change. I have to be more vulnerable. I have to be more open to what's going on around me instead of me thinking and saying, oh, well, I'm not comfortable. My back's against the wall. When the reality of it all is, I am comfortable. I'm not homeless. I don't have the, possibility of being homeless either because, like I said, I have a strong support system. And then even if I didn't sell my house, say if I lost my house and I lost my car, I still would not have my back against the wall because I have a strong support system. And I know everybody doesn't have that, but are you vulnerable enough to say out loud to someone and find out what it is you've been thinking versus what the reality of the situation actually is? Because sure, the person I was talking to, they don't know everything. It's not like they're God or anything like that. But I feel like God sent them to me to speak the words that they spoke in that moment of vulnerability so I could receive it. Because sometimes we find ourselves moving so fast and going through life so quickly, and we're not vulnerable that we don't soak up the lessons we're supposed to get along the way. So going forward, I have decided that I really need to chronicle this. I need to write this down so I never forget, my starting point. I never forget, what it felt like to hear that what I was saying was, virtually lunacy. It's like you gotta be crazy to think that you're at the end of your rope. You're just putting more pressure on yourself than you need to because you have the people, you have the avenue, you have the money, you have the education, the mind, the wherewithal, the strength. You have everything you need to be successful. The only thing that's standing in your way is you. So I'm getting out of my way. I've already started, getting out of my way today. I started working, on my credit score because, of course, credit score wasn't the best. And I can admit that because I've had 800, credit score before. And when you go through changes in life, you lose jobs or your medical payments and things are so high, and you start making like, I wouldn't say a deal, but you set up payment plans and things, to pay for it, but it still isn't positive, on your credit in all cases. And see, in my case, it wasn't necessarily that way. And then two, when you've made some bad choices when it comes to buying things, like I don't make really bad choices when it comes to buying stuff. But if I need something and I don't necessarily have the cash for it, sure, I put on a credit card and then, make the payment. But when that debt to income ratio gets out of whack, it affects your credit score. I knew that too. I just said, hey, I'm gonna figure it out. And that was part of my problem too. Instead of looking at the reality of things and taking actions to improve things, I just said, okay, well, I'll handle this when it gets here. And it wasn't even, I won't even say it was like procrastination because I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, if my credit card bill is due at the end of the month, and I know that I haven't gotten any clients or haven't been working or anything like that. If I know that, I'll say, where am I going to pull this money from? And I try to do it the least painless way. So sometimes I'll just call them and let them know, hey, it's going to be, a couple of days late. And sometimes they won't, penalize you because if I know something is coming to cover it, that's how I do it. I'm not going to ask anybody, that's a part of my support system to pay like a credit card bill or something like that because that's something I did, to myself, right? So that's something else he said. I was quite tickled, after this conversation. It was like, you can't keep shooting yourself in the foot, though. Like, you got to get a handle on it. Get your credit score up. Make sure your debt income ratio is in line. And sell that house. Because honestly, if I sell my house, I have no debt. None. Because I can pay off everything that I have and still have a ton of money left over. And yeah, I bet you're sitting there going, well, why would you think that? So I did try to sell it once before. And apparently it wasn't time for me to sell it because at the time they were building houses like crazy. And when that happens, oh, the builders give you all these great incentives. Who's going to take a house that's 5, 6 years old when you can get a brand new house that no one's lived in with all these perks and all these wonderful things, all these warranties? Who wouldn't do that? Hey, I was that person when I was looking for a house. I didn't look for older houses. I looked for a house that I thought, oh, I won't have to do any work on it. And had a friend tell me, as sure as you buy a house, you need to know a handyman. And that was odd to me because the houses that I owned when I was in Alabama, I never had any issues where I needed a handyman. Sure, I did have a hole in my roof from hail damage when I was living in Alabama, but my dad went up there and put another shingle up there and the underlayment and all that was fine. So he was able to fix all that, no problem. But even after that, there was a roofer that came around to the neighborhood and he worked with the insurance companies and almost everybody in the neighborhood got a free roof anyway. So it was like, it just all kind of worked out. But back to what I was saying, the time that I was trying to sell my home wasn't the right time. Imagine if I had sold it then and I hadn't come to this vulnerable state that I'm in now. What would I have done? Would I have just found another job and let them soak up, the cost for selling the home and for the relocation and all that stuff? Or would I give myself, a fresh start? Fresh start meaning, got this house full of furniture. I could sell it all. I could give it all away, whatever. But if I sell the home, I have the money to do what it is to follow my dream. But are you vulnerable enough to say this out loud to yourself? What is it that you're sitting on? Or what is it that you're holding on to that's not allowing you to be the very best version of yourself? You have a book in your heart. You have the skills of someone who can cook for hundreds and hundreds of people, and it's delicious with everybody. But you're still only cooking for your family. You haven't stepped into that restaurant space, that food truck, that delivery or catering service. Why not? Or the kids love you. All the kids in the neighborhood. You're the candy lady. Or you're the lady that is in the park that everyone just gravitates to. You love kids. Why not open a daycare? What's keeping you from doing it? And if it's when you're telling someone else your dream and they're only telling you the negative things, stop talking to them people. Stop talking to those people. Those people are going to keep you right where you are. And then when you leave this life, your dreams are going to leave with you. Think about it. I've had this happen, and I always thought it was so strange that it would happen. I'd be in the airport traveling, and I see a lady with a pretty dress on, and come in my head, it'll say, "Tell that lady she's got a pretty dress." I'm like, tell her nothing. Not because I don't want to talk or anything like that, but I'm on the move. But God allowed me to hear someone say, "Hey, that's a beautiful dress you got on." In passing, that's all I had to do too. But if he couldn't trust me with saying something in passing, what can he trust me with? So that's something else I had to do to grow. Whenever I would hear the Lord speak to me, I would act. I am acting on it now. And I'm not losing any ground. I'm not losing anything by being kind, by speaking a nice word, or by holding the door open, for someone. Or, hey, we were walking around the crate in Wesley Chapel, and I saw this lady that had a blonde natural hairstyle. And she was with two other ladies that had natural hair, but I was like, I had to stop her. I was like, ma'am, I don't know you, but yes, I was like, that's it. That inspired. It's beautiful. I was like, all of y'all are natural and your hair is beautiful. I was like, but hers just truly stands out. And I had to say something because I wish I was that bold. Because I'm not going to dye my hair blonde. I don't care how cute I think it might look on me. I'm not going to do it. Just not going to do it for multiple reasons. Part of why I'm embracing the fight now. I wonder if all these different illnesses, I'm dealing with, if they had something to do with the chemicals that have come into my body based on the things I've come in contact with and the choices that I've made. But that's another story. Back to you and I with this vulnerability. You have to be able to be honest and open up with yourself. Sure, it's gonna hurt. I'm telling you, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel some tears, and you're gonna feel that behind your nose where you're trying to keep from crying, and you're gonna feel, all type of ways because you're like, I consider myself to be smart. I consider myself to be driven. I consider all the stuff you consider yourself. Why aren't you there? What's keeping you? What's holding you hostage? And I know that it's me. I know that I am holding me hostage. Sure, working for people for the past 31 years, 31 years, past 31 years, I got so used to reporting to someone else or helping someone else realize their dream. Now it's time for me to shine. Now it's time for you to shine. What is it that's in you that you need to do, that you have to do, that is yours to do, but you haven't had this vulnerable conversation with you or another person that you trust? Do it today. What are you waiting for? Because whatever that great thing is, you're going to do it, right? And once you do it, you're going to look back at this episode 101 and say, you know what? She was right. Look at all this wonderful stuff that's happened now that I've done this. And then you'll always look back and say, what was I waiting on? And once you say that, you've arrived. Keep moving forward. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this episode 101, Vulnerability. And as always, I want you all to have an absolutely amazing day.